Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. So today I have a great question because I keep seeing it everywhere. I keep seeing this notion of hormone balance everywhere. So the question I'm answering today is, can you balance your hormones in perimenopause? So if you're on social media at all, or if you've ever even Googled balancing your hormones, you've probably been bombarded with ads for products and programs that will deliver just that. And I'm not saying that there aren't certain supplements that can be helpful for you when you're in this time of life, or that that there aren't certain exercises that will make you feel good or feel stronger, or that there aren't foods that will be most optimal for you at this time. But can these products really deliver what they're promising, which is hormone balance? And what does that even mean? What does it mean to balance your hormones? So I was looking into that, and I was looking into the dictionary, which is what I do when I'm like, oh, balance. It sounds like a word we all know, but what does it really mean? So balance means a situation in which different things exist in equal, correct, or good amounts. Okay then. So balancing your hormones would be about having each of your hormones, of which we know there are about 50 different hormones in our bodies, and which all depend on each other. So they all have to be at their correct or good level. Then you are balanced hormonally. And this is great maybe if you're somewhere between puberty and, premenopause, and if you're not pregnant. In those cases, your female hormones will be more predictable, and therefore something like hormone balance might exist. Now, I have a really hard time believing our hormones are ever perfectly balanced at any time because they can be impacted by so many things. But in particular, now that you're in perimenopause or in the early part even of menopause, hormone balance is exactly what's not happening. So this is the time, actually, you're in a state of hormone imbalance. Really, this is what's going on. It's what perimenopause is all about. It's an imbalance, but it's absolutely normal. It's a normal time of your life. So this is when your hormones are, these two female hormones in particular, they're off. They're on this wild roller coaster ride. And they send, therefore, most of your other hormones on this ride as well. And one big clue that you're in this hormone imbalance is that the timing of your periods becomes off. You can get it every 2 weeks or every 3 months, or it can last for 2 days or 2 weeks. We don't know. So that is because we're hormonally imbalanced in perimenopause. And you can also tell times when maybe your estrogen is on the high side because you have bloating, you have breast tenderness, you have maybe a heavy bleed. And when estrogen is on the low side, you may have things like heart palpitations or sleep issues, hot flashes, which a lot of us have, bone loss, vaginal dryness. There's all kinds of things associated with a lower amount of estrogen. And because your female hormones affect all your other hormones, as I said, your body may be struggling to regulate sleep, regulate body temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, cholesterol, and all these things. And of course, we know that these are the issues or the symptoms of menopause. We know that sleep disturbances, hot flashes, heart palpitations, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, bloating, constipation, brain fog, anxiety, depression, so many things are happening in perimenopause because your hormones are naturally imbalanced. It's normal. But I think when we're looking for hormone balance, we're looking for symptom relief. We're looking to feel better, right? We want to reduce the intensity of our symptoms, or maybe the duration of them, or maybe we even want to eliminate them if that can be possible. And in some cases it is. So how do we do this? So the first thing we have to accept is that you are in a state of imbalance if you are in perimenopause. Your hormones are imbalanced, and it's just a normal part of your life. It can last for 2 or 3 years, maybe even up to 10 years. I know we don't want to hear that, but that's the way it goes. Now, The other thing to do is to go beyond just accepting this. Yes, you are in a hormone imbalance, and yes, it's normal, but that doesn't mean you can't get some relief and feel better right now, which is what I really think you're trying to do if you're trying to get your hormones balanced. And the good news answer is that you aren't a slave to your hormones. You can reduce the influence of your hormones by doing things differently, by changing certain habits. So you can affect your cortisol, you can lower it, which is your stress hormone, by lowering stress and anxiety, finding ways to do that in your everyday life. You can affect insulin or lower insulin, which is your energy storing hormone, by changing eating habits, which we can all do. It's a simple thing. You can affect melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, by creating a new sleep routine and getting the sleep you need. And you can affect another hormone like serotonin, which is the happiness hormone, by exercising. Wow, who knew? You can be happier when you exercise, because some of us think it's going to make us more miserable, but in fact, it actually increases our serotonin. So, although your hormones aren't balanced, which is okay, you can affect your hormones and feel better by just changing things in your daily routine. You can also get that back by adding some of these female hormones so that your hormones all your other hormones aren't as impacted. That is called HRT. That's what we call hormone therapy or menopause therapy. And that is an option for a lot of us. We can do that to feel better. And of course, I've talked about all these things on the podcast. For example, on episode 3, I talk about stress management. And on episode 8, I talk about foods and what foods you can eat to feel better and to be better in this time of life. In episode 44, I talk about reducing alcohol because that definitely has an impact on your hormones. And episode 17, I talk about getting better sleep. And episode 20, I talk about hormone therapy. So there's many episodes you can refer to that can help you if you want to go into more detail. And in these episodes, I talk about what you can do to sleep better, what exercises you can do to get more benefit in midlife, what foods you can eat to be healthier and to be more focused right now, and what you can do to stress less and manage your stress at this time of life. I talk about a lot of these whats. These are the things you can do, the tactics, the ideas, the things you can go out and do right now. But I haven't spent a lot of time on how you get these things done, because I think that's the most important piece. You can go and find the what out on the internet. There's lots of information there. You can find what to do. You can find exercise routines. You can find foods and recipes. You can find ways of de-stressing and meditations. You can find ideas of sleep routines. You can get all these whats on the internet and in my podcast. You can find these, but how do you keep doing these things? How do you adopt these things so that they're part of your routine and do them every day? Even when life is hard, even when it throws you a curveball, even when you don't feel like it, which a lot of us don't sometimes, even when you have no time and no money and no energy, how do you do these things? And that's the real pixie dust here in this situation. I just thought of that word, or that term, pixie dust. I love it, but I'm calling it pixie dust because it's like the magic that takes you from what you know, because a lot of us know what to do already, into actually doing these things every single day, into doing these things that are actually going to make our hormones react better so that we feel better. Again, it's not going to bring us to hormone balance, but it's going to make us feel better, which is what I think we're actually after. So that pixie dust in my world is called coaching, because coaching teaches you how to be consistent, how to not listen to all the excuses your brain is going to offer you. It teaches you how to be accountable and the power of taking responsibility for yourself and the things you do or you don't do. And it's about planning, how to plan, which is a giant piece, because planning isn't just writing stuff down. It's being aware and present with your life and what you really want to get done and who you really want to be. So how do you do that? That is what it is like to be coached. And I think of it like driving, right? You might know how to drive. You might know what to do in the car. You know where the brake pedal is. You know where the gas is. You maybe know how to shift gears if you've got a manual car like me. But how do you get to where you're going is actually what coaching is. So if you look at it like driving, you got to check out the route before you go. You got to pack up your purse and your bag with what you're going to need or what you want to bring. You've got to get insurance in case something should go wrong, or have a membership with, here in Canada it's CAA, in the States it's AAA, roadside assistance, right? And you've got to keep your eye on the road ahead instead of looking down at your feet, right? These are all things that you need to do when you drive. Even though you know where everything is, doesn't mean you know how to do all these things. So when you talk about coaching, you plan what you want to get done before you do it. So you plan what you're going to do before. You're going to know when you're going to exercise. It's not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be I wake up and say, oh, maybe today I'm going to exercise. No, you learn how to plan these things and make it part of your routine and fit within your life. You decide on the tools and resources you're going to need ahead of time before you get this done. You get accountability and plan what you're going to do when things don't go your way. That's the insurance piece, right? What are you going to do when things don't work out? Because inevitably, they don't. And things don't go our way all the time. So we need that insurance. That's the accountability. That's, a plan to get things done even when they fall apart. And how do you keep focused on the goal? And how do you stay motivated? And how do you see the things, the obstacles before they get in your way? These are all things you can do in coaching. So it's not just about, here's what you got to do. This is the exercise plan. This is the diet. No, it's how do you actually make those things happen? So what I'm actually talking about here is how you can make your body feel better by affecting your hormones through lifestyle changes, and using coaching to be able to implement those changes, right? Now, at the same time, you're going to see, if you're on the internet like I am, and most of us are, you're going to see there are vitamins and supplements and products out there that companies are promising, and they're saying they're going to balance your hormones. So after everything I've just said, I'm just saying buyer beware. Just beware of that. Know that perimenopause is a natural time of imbalance, and that it's okay and it's temporary, right? This is a time where we are going to be imbalanced. Now, knowing that, there are certain things you can do, as I mentioned, a lot of different lifestyle things we can do that you can do starting right now to reduce, or even in some cases eliminate, some symptoms you might be suffering with. And if you need support or help, or you have questions, of course you can get in touch with me. I can help you, I can chat with you, I can answer your questions, and you can always find the link in the show notes to this episode where you can book a time with me and we can talk, and it's always free to do so. So with that, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it gave you some insight into hormone balance and what it really means, and that it doesn't mean very much when we're in perimenopause. And I'm grateful you decided to join me today on the episode. And if you enjoyed it, and if you learned something, perhaps, I'd love you to comment or rate this podcast on Apple or Spotify or whatever platform you're using to listen, and even share the takeaway that you're taking with you today. I would really appreciate that. And I'll be back next week with a fresh new episode. So keep moving forward, and bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at DebbieHarbeckCoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.